I want to bring in Swan Lee. She is the co-founder and spokesperson for the Asian American Coalition for Education. Welcome, Swan. Thank you for being a part of the program. Can you tell me why personally you're involved? What was your original motivation that made you say, I've got to start an organization?
Yes, I have been involved in this for many years. One of my original motives is because I personally know Asian American students who are from lower income families. A lot of them are also like newer immigrant backgrounds, and their parents work blue collar jobs and such as like waiters in Chinese restaurants at $7 an hour. So their families are struggling financially. But when it comes to college admissions, they are portrayed as being privileged just because of the genetic makeup they happen to have, which is of Chinese descent. So their academic performances are taken for granted, and they have to pay the well-known Asian tax. And after that, they cannot get into well-matched schools, and a lot of them have to go to community colleges, while their classmates can go to real four-year colleges.
So are you looking for, with your lawsuit, are you looking for an end to all of this and just look at a person's academic score and real character issues? What do you is this just for Asians that you're shooting for, or what?
No, not just for Asian Americans, but for all Americans. We believe people should not be judged by the color of their skin or their racial identity, or what kind of ancestral origins they have, but based on their individual performances, not just in academics, but also what kind of extracurricular activities, what kind of personal interests or career goals they have, and what kind of even race-related experiences they describe in their personal essays. So we believe students should be judged based on the person, him or herself, instead of using assumptions based on their racial identities.
So I have to tell you, I hate this whole thing because I think academia, especially at an Ivy League school, it is so important and critical that we have our best and brightest. And I don't care what color they are. I don't care. I just want the best and brightest because we have some huge, huge issues that are facing us, and we need our best and brightest. Can you tell me what you think the advantage comes from academically in the Asian community? The Asians that I know that I'm friends with, it's because either they or their parents came from another country and they see the opportunity and they're like, study and you'll play, 16 instruments, and they're working all the time. Is that where this advantage comes from?
It's not really any sort of cultural advantage, but I think more about parents' accountability. We do not believe our children are being done a favor if they are just let in schools based on their racial identity. We can also use that kind of rhetoric saying, oh, yes, we suffered from Chinese Exclusion Act. That's why we are the smallest racial group. A lot of precious opportunity has been taken away historically. We want that to be made up for now. But we're not really using that kind of rhetoric because we believe that's not going to help our children, but actually hurting our children. Right. So
you're so right.
And I think, Glenn, you and I are not alone. Actually, based on polls by Gallup and WGBH NPR polls, actually the majority of Americans agree with us. Based on the polls, 72% of Americans believe race should not be a factor in college admissions because the majority of Americans believe that's going to hurt our educational quality, not only in higher education, but also in K-12 education. The real work should be done starting with K-12 education, not just manufacturing false diversity at the higher education level.
So you're taking on the Ivy League schools that have billions, literally billions of dollars. They're not going to give up on this fight. It'll probably go all the way to the Supreme Court. How do you face that?
We do not fear that at all. I know they are very powerful institutions, and they probably have a lot of political connections or whatever connections that come their way. But we just need to speak the truth. We just need to stand up and fight for the justice for all Americans. We're not just fighting for Asian Americans. We have to make that very clear. We believe African American, Hispanic students should not be stigmatized by race-based policies, because when Harvard uses this kind of admission policies, it uses a lot of stigmatizing narratives that's hurting African, Hispanic, and Asian American students. For African and Hispanic students, Harvard says, oh, if we don't use racial factor, then we will not have any diversity at all. That's not true. That's false, and that's also very stigmatizing for students simply based on their racial identity and skin color. And 10 American states have abandoned affirmative action, and they do not use race-based admissions, and they have plenty of diversity. Based on California polls, the majority of Californians still support race-free college admissions. So if we have the courage, because we know the majority of Americans are on our side. So we have plenty of support behind us.
I really appreciate it. I assume people can go to your website if they want to help or get involved at all, AsianAmericanForEducation.org. I applaud you for your strength and your willingness to stand. I think your cause is right and righteous. And I will tell you, I'm not looking forward to my children competing against, the stereotypical, I hate to say it, Asian American, because they're hard workers. But that's what will make my child stronger, is having somebody who works hard and studies harder than them competing with them. So I applaud you.
Exactly, I agree. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, nobody should be written off because of their racial identity. I totally agree with you.
Amen. Merit-based. Swan Lee, co-founder of Asian American Coalition for Education.